Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching round 4 of the Porsche 911 Summer Super Cup here at the Virginia International Raceway. Before we start, right now we are in practice session and qualifying will start in about 15 minutes. Let's see what the standings are at the moment. Here are the driver standings with Rune Janssens in first place and Rens de Kok close behind him. The two NASA Racing drivers doing very well so far. A lot of drivers taking part or have taken part so far in the as I can barely hear myself think. Taken part in the races so far, so the list goes on, but it's quickly scrolling through it. This race we have, I think, 26 drivers at the moment in server, so that is very nice. And it's a very tricky track, this Virginia International Raceway. Elevation changes, interesting combinations of corners, and when you miss one apex, you're pretty much screwed for the next 3 corners or something like that. 17 corners, or well, 17 and a bit, I should say, for this track. As we're watching the last guys with the points in the championship standings. So as we saw, NASA Racing doing very well in his championship so far. Of course, after this round, we're halfway at the moment. After this round, there are 2 more rounds. So, well, who knows? As you can see, well, there were 84 drivers in the points, I think a little more even. And many more drivers who have taken part. So it's a very successful series so far, and well, I've the car goes off in our screens. I've been enjoying it so far. The races have been very joyful and very exciting. And you can see how long this takes to just scroll through the standings. So here we are. Meanwhile, in the background, drivers are improving on their laps as the track is improving as well. And this is what it looked like. So the track conditions are at the moment, excuse me there, I'm still coughing a little bit. Not as much as I did earlier, but air temperatures then 17 degrees Celsius and track temps a little also with 24 degrees. Track surface at the moment is fast, meaning there is still some speed to be gained when the practice session goes on and qualifying and then the race. Wind direction, a little bit more wind, but not very much compared to the previous races. Wind direction from the southwest. And the map you're looking at is, well, with the north at the top, so a bit of a headwind after the first sector, and then on the back straight, a bit of a tailwind for the drivers today. Then, at the moment, Team ASD with the fastest lap here in the practice session. It says on your screen 12 minutes to go. It's about correct. We'll see. So Team ASD in first place in this practice session at the moment. Drivers still improving. Petrol is the fastest man who is out on track with a 47.7. And we see drivers improving all the time. Some surprises as well for me. So anything can happen this race. Of course, drivers are running ballast, and I'm trying to get a little bit of some information on that. According to this list I have here, the driver with the most ballast is Rune Janssens. He's leading the championship, of course, with 50 kilograms. So that's quite a hefty penalty for him. And Rens 45 degrees, and Julian Dietz, I don't think I have seen him on the server, so it will probably be Oscar Pink who will be running 40 kilograms. Cordex is on the server as well, Justin van der Linden, I haven't seen him either. And then, well, the drivers are getting less ballast, but the drivers most affected by this are Rune and Rens, of course. Which kind of equals the playing field. At least a little bit. Some might say it's a bit artificial, but it certainly adds to the racing. Of course, in a little less than 10 minutes, we'll start with the qualifying session. After that, we'll have 2 races, the first of which, of course, the grid order is decided by the qualifying order, as petrol locks up. And after that, race 2 is a reversed grid, but the trick is we don't know how many places will be reversed. Could be the whole grid, could be half of the grid, or anything in between. Will be a random number decided, well, when it's time to do that. Samuel now also out on the track, 2nd place. Pedro Melin has been very fast, although he's now into the pits. You see petrol goes off with all 4 wheels. And is improving on the pole lap, though not the personal best sector for him. Let's have a look on board through this tricky middle sector. Trying to use as much of the track as possible. All the elevation changes making it very hard, and fast corners following up. Try to break it through straight line, bit of oversteer, can't get to the apex, and as well, not a very good exit on this back straight. Of course, you need a very good exit, as this is the longest straight on the track. The main straight isn't really that long. And perhaps if you wanna, petrol there drives a fast lap, if you wanna, please let me know if the audio is okay, if you can hear me at least. I mean, it should work, but and people then still improving. Cordex 47.7 at the moment. Down a gear. And then of course braking for the hairpin. Turns 11 and 12. I hear that the audio is good, thanks for that. Petrol then improving on the pole lap at the moment. A little bit quicker after 2 sectors. And Rens de Kok does a 47.5. A very nice lap by him. Only marginally quicker than Petrol, so can Petrol improve and maybe even beat Rens? Takes the shortest route and does so by almost 0.2 of a second. 47.4 for him. Samuel behind him. That's a scruffy lap. Something happened to him. And Rune in front of him. And Samuel decides to abandon his lap. So despite having 50 kilograms, Rune still in the top 5, as well as Rens with in second place with 45 kilos. Very impressive by the drivers. Petrol then did the fastest last sector of anyone in this session so far. So despite Rune at the moment being quicker and a little bit slower now, though improving on his own lap. Or at least according to this timing. I'm not sure on the other screen it tells me something else, but well, in any case he has to drive a very solid last sector in order to beat Petrol's lap. And having raced in these ACRL championships before, you know, driving in this practice session and seeing that you're quickest on the track gives you a lot of confidence, also for the qualifying. And well, there you are. Rune loses a little bit of speed, a little bit of time in the last sector. Pedro Melim out on track, faster in the first sector. With a nice red skin, braking for the hairpin. Drivers are taking it pretty easy, I'm noticing. Of course, no ABS in this car, no traction control either, but no ABS, and having to turn while braking makes it, of course, very hard. Or hard. So I'm mixing up my dialects or accents. Still fastest after the second sector. And they saw him locking up. As one driver is going off in the background. Last corner for him, for Pedro Melim. Using all the track and then take the shortest route to the line. Which is not exactly straight. And there you go, 47.1. Crack still improving, and well, as he abandons this lap. Rens also very quick. By the time we'll have qualifying, the track will be almost in perfect condition, so we'll see some very fast times, and that could mean, as Rens does the second best time, that means maybe consistent lap times for the drivers and also good fighting. We'll see. Although in F1 it usually makes the races pretty boring if the track is in perfect condition, but this is of course not F1, this is an online race with the Porsche 911 Supercup. Which is a very tricky car with a lot of weight in the back. And a lot of weight movement. The teammate is the 4th best time. Oscar Pink improving on the second sector, right now in 13th place. And can he improve? Well, no, he can't. Although, well, it was a faster lap for himself, but he's not improving many positions. And we see both teammates, D and Samuel, setting best first sectors, so Samuel, the first one to be crossing the line, and at the moment faster than the pole lap. So there you go, drivers keep switching around for first place. Anything can and probably will happen for the qualifying and then the first race. And after that, second race with the reverse grid, and Samuel goes off, loses control over the car as he oversteers and corrects a bit too much, and the car snaps and goes off. Team ASD. Trouble on the braking, bit of oversteer when he gets on the accelerator, and does that make him lose some time. Very cambered corner there, that last turn, or the first part of the last turn, turn 17. And does a 47.6, not too bad. But no improvement for him. And ACRL hasn't had any screen time. Beautiful skin, I must say. Is improving on his first sector at the moment. Trouble slowing the car down, hitting the apex in the hairpin. Of course, hitting the apex means you'll be using less of the track, meaning you have less space to, well, basically drive out of the corner. Excuse me, drive out of the corner, and you'll lose some speed on the straight. In the past weeks, drivers have also been tweaking their setups, of course, setups still being a thing, even though they're quite limited on these cars. There is some trickery possible, at least what I've noticed from some insiders' information, especially on the front suspension setting, which is interesting. And I got you 47.6. So we have, well, 10 drivers in the 47s. And even 12 drivers within a second. So a couple more drivers finishing the lap. Well, they're crossing the line. Somehow my sound is cutting out a little bit. Maybe it's limited. In any case, in a few minutes, qualifying will start here at the Virginia International Raceway. And before we do that, let's have a quick look at the information for this round. If we can get it to work. Probably not. Maybe not. There it is. So round 4 for the Porsche 911 Summer Super Cup. After 3 rounds with 6 races in total, so 2 races, as we see the drivers crashing. 2 races per round. And we have had 6 different races and 6 different winners. And maybe today we'll get a 7th and an 8th. We'll see. So track improving, still fast, but almost perfect condition. And wind still the same, south-southwest wind, 6 kilometers an hour. As we're waiting for qualifying to start. All the drivers into the pits. And, well, this is the Porsche 911 Summer Super Cup in his little trailer. You're watching the ACRL Porsche 911 Summer Supercup with qualifying about to start. Quick look at the practice results. Pedro Malim so far the fastest on track. Rens de Kok behind him. Then Petrol, Team ASD. Samuel in 5th place. ACRL, who set a faster time pretty late in the session, in front of Rune Janssens. Cortex in 8th place. Chris Down, who I'm not familiar with, but has been driving solid laps. Luca Babetto in 10th place. Mark Martins in 11th place. And Oscar Pink in 12th place. Red Burning Eyes, 13th time, excuse me. And in 14th place, Rob Lewis. Marcus Briselov, who's been pretty impressive in the previous races, so maybe he'll have some room for improvement. Sarayan behind him in 16th place, then Eder in 17th, Rodolfo Abreu, and we are starting the qualifying in the background as drivers are heading out. So looking at the last bit of the standings. So the first driver to go out is Rune Janssens. You like to have the advantage of a clear track, of course, when you're in a very short qualifying session with only 10 minutes. The two Nassau Racing drivers in front, but it is Oscar Pink who would like to pass Rens there. And otherwise, well, the drivers are heating the tires. Otherwise, he'll have to leave a gap in order to not be impeded on his own lap, of course. 27 drivers in the session, all heading out for this first qualifying, also the last qualifying for the evening. For the first race of the round 4 here at Virginia International Raceway in Virginia in the US. The drivers trying to leave a gap as well as heating their tires. Trying to find a space to set a lap. So it is Rens de Kok in front, in fact. I was confused for a moment. And he will be the first to set a lap as he locks up a little bit. Does not use all of the track, so maybe wants to just set a lap to have something on the board. And to start pushing from there. Of course, when you're having a difficult time setting a lap, then that makes every lap more difficult. To the first sector he goes. Very twisty bit. And then we have the fast flowing corners with a lot of elevation change. Here after turn 6 and then up to turn 7, 8, 9, 10 and then the hairpin. Using as much of the track as you can. Trying to keep the car in control. All the way to the outside with two wheels totally into the grass. Braking as hard as you can in a straight line, as much as possible, but of course you need to turn a little bit. And then the drivers head out onto the back straight. And again locking up. You see drivers locking up their left wheel going into the right hander. Of course, when you are coming over the crest, the front is getting lighter and it's easier to lock up. One more corner to go. And goes over the line with a 48.4. 48.4 as well, just a little bit slower for Rune. And then we have Oscar Pink. Look up a better improving by 0.4 of a second, that is. And added in second place. Very nice for him. ACRL in 7th. at the moment, and Samuel then taking second place. Star with a 49.5, locking up. Panda. Excuse me. Not a very quick lap for him, but two drivers still crossing the line. And Petrol then into the pits. I don't know what happened to him. But then still leading the pack for the to set a lap. Man with garbage improving. At the moment he is in 7th place, 48.5. So a lot of 48s at the moment. From 1 to place 14, 15 now. Ren's not being able to improve, but Rune is. And he's come up behind his teammate. And 3/10 below the faster than the pole lap at the moment. So what can he do? Is he goes through the last turn, easing on the throttle. .79 for him. And Samuel also fast, but then going off. It's a shame for him, isn't it? And he has to be able to... As all the drivers are going off, there's Pedro Melim, who was also very quick. Of course, fastest time in the excuse me, practice session. But the drivers then pushing a little bit too hard and heading off into the pits. Mark Martens, I think we are seeing with a very fast first sector. Right now in 11th place with the orange-skinned Porsche. Having a bit of oversteer, trying to slow down this tricky section. Well, all sections are tricky, actually, on this track. But last turn for him. There's another driver goes off, which is Marco Boemi, I think it is. And Mark Martens then with a very good second sector. Goes over the line with a 47.6. That's a pole position for him at the moment. But Rune also very quick in the first sector, improving on his own fast time. Track rapidly increasing in grip. A bit slower in the second sector for Rune. But Mark Martens lost a little bit of time compared to other drivers in the last sector, so maybe Rune can improve on his time and on that from Martens. Will he though? Drives at 47.5 and does so. Over a tenth of a second quicker. See a car lagging a little bit, which is Oscar Pink. I hope that's not going to be too much of an issue, but it'll be slightly annoying for Addo who's behind him. See the car jittering. And it seems to be just him at the moment. Jittering all over, so it's not a server issue. But what else is going on then? Well, Mark Martens is now onto the back straight as another driver went off. Which was Man with Garbage. Decides to abandon his lap. Pedro Melim on an out lap. Of course, went off on the previous lap. And Mark Martens then a little slower in the middle sector. Going wide again. We saw that on the previous lap as well. For him, I think. Going wide in that turn, which is turn 14. A bit wide again in turn 17. Team ASD, Dennis Marquardt, who I haven't seen yet, improving. Dennis Marquardt with a 48.1. A lot of drivers going into the 47s now. And Mark Martens 48.0, not improving. Team ASD is now in second place. And Rob Lewis was also improving. On his previous lap. Fun fact there. Rens de Kok, also quick. 10 slower at the moment compared to the pole lap of Rune Janssens. Very tidy line in the last sector here. Again, easing on the throttle. And, well, it looked very neat. But can he improve? And can he beat Run's time? No, he cannot. 4th place for him at the moment. And Run behind him on that lap. We, again, Pedro Melim into the pits. So I don't know what happened to him. But he's not having a great time. Very quick driver, but if you're not setting a time, then, well, it's going to be very hard. And I think there was Cortex just now setting a lap of 48.1. And then it's Mark Ward losing a lot of time in the middle sector. Or, well, maybe the first sector. Team ASD then is very quick in the 2nd sector as a driver is going up in front of him. And can he avoid them? No, cannot. So, well, that's going to be a tough ending for many drivers. And I hope they are keeping out of the way. As Rob Lewis now crossing the line. Qualifying is finished. So at the moment, the Rune Janssens, it seems to be pole position for him. Samuel pretty quick, 6th place, 0.3 slower. And Petrol then, also looking quick. Right now in 10th place, but maybe he can improve. 47.7, 5th place for Petrol. ACRL is on the lap as well. In the hairpin at the moment. And in front of him, that is Marcus Brieslov. And Rune Janssens, well, totally missed that. Drives the fastest lap of 47.3. So, well, that's a very impressive lap. 0.3 quicker than the number 2 Team ASD. So well done by Rune at the moment. Max Brieslov not improving and in fact loses control as ACRL hopefully can avoid him. Does so. Can he improve on his time? And well, he does improve on his time though. 18th fastest for him. Sarayan behind him, 22nd place. And well, that's that for this session. All the drivers are into the pits. So we have Rune, I think. Well, here's confirmation. Rune with a 47.3 on pole position for race 1 of the Porsche 911 Summer Super Cup. Team ASD 2nd place. Mark Martins in 3rd. And qualified in 4th is Rens de Kok. Petrol, Luca Babetto, Samuel, Oscar Pink, Cortex, and then it's Marco Ward, Adder in 11th place. And then we have in 12th place man with Garbage. Of course, all the drivers on hard tires, as that's the only tire available. Red Burning Eyes in 13th place. We've seen that before in the previous session. Rob Lewis in 14th. Dan Chan in 15th place. Chris Down in 16th place. Well, I was expecting a little bit more from him as he was setting very good lap times in the practice session, but well, we'll see what he can do in the race. Rodolfo Abreu in 17th place, Aika Raju 18th place, Marcus Brieslov, Pedro Melim, and well, that's the end of the list already. And I should also mention Sal Dukas, Sarayan, Panda, Star, Marco Buemi here in 25th place, Hedo and Vandy Dent. Closing the order in 27th place. Of course, we are waiting for the race to start. You're watching ACRL. We'll wait a few minutes before this race starts, and here's a little trailer for ACRL. And there we are with about 1.5 minutes to go before the lights go out. Here is the starting grid for race 1. Rune Janssens in pole position. Of course, Rune won the previous race at Hockenheimring with a reverse grid. Now with 50 kilograms of ballast. So that's a very impressive pole position from him, starting in first place. But, well, anything can happen. And so far we've had 6 different drivers in winning in 6 different races. So maybe we'll have a 7th different driver, or maybe someone will be the first to win it 2 times. 50 seconds left until the lights go out. And 27 drivers lining up here at round 4 of the Virginia International Raceway. Conditions still very nice. Track grip also very nice for the drivers. So, well, first drivers are firing up their engines. And we'll start the race. So first lights on, 3, 4, 5, 6 lights, and all lights are on. And lights out, and away they go. At the moment, Team ASD tries to defend and hits Mark Martens, who's on the inside and tries to, well, keep some distance. All the drivers trying to head into turn 1. A lot of contact, and some drivers going off. Rens de Kok went off for a moment there, but then all drivers seem to be getting away well, with one driver in the background, Rob Lewis Adder, having turned around. We see another bit of, well, some crashing. That's a very terrible first lap for many drivers getting into contact with each other, and it might be a bit of lag, or the drivers just wanting to get through the field. As we have Rune at the moment in first place still, Petrol behind him, and Samuel in 3rd place, Oscar Pink in 4th place, and Man with Garbage in 5th place. Red Burning Eyes under pressure from Marcus Bislov behind him. At the moment, Red Burning Eyes in 6th place, Marcus Bislov in 7th, of course. And can Bislov make a move into the hairpin as drivers are locking up? Bit of overstiff Red Burning Eye, so that gives Bislov a chance on the back straight. And also Cortex now trying, Cortex on the attack and trying to cut him, or cut across to the other side. The 3 drivers fighting for, at the moment, 6th place, with Marcus Bislov in 6th, and Red Burning Eyes then defending very well. And a bit of contact between the drivers of Bislov and Cortex. Cortex then being under pressure from Aika Raju. After 1 lap, Rune first place, and 2 drivers are going up, which are Aika Raju and Luca Babetto. So pretty tough luck for them, and then they have to be very careful rejoining the track. As we have Serayan then on the tail of Rodolfo Abreu. And Pedro Melim also attacking, and well, a lot of things happening at the same time, as often happens, of course, in the first laps. And Abreu being overtaken by Serayan into turn 1. And going a bit wide in turn 3, as we have, well, all hard tires for some reason. And the drivers are filing up after each other, and we have Chris Down on the tail of Dennis Marquardt. Going through this tricky fast corners. And Chris Down loses control for a second there and is immediately under pressure as another driver goes off. And wow, many drivers are going off, in fact. As I'm trying to scroll through the field, but it's very hard to see what's going on. We have was that a bit more contact, and Rodolfo Abreu was the one who was going off, and Dan Chen then under pressure from Dennis Marquardt. In fact, it is Dan Chen who's pressuring Pedro Melim, who's locking up into turn 14. And Dan Chen seemed to be a bit easier on his car and not overdriving in as much as Melim in front of him. He has a little bit of oversteer. Into the slipstream. There's hardly slipstream, it must be said. Out in front, fastest lap from Petrol. Although it's very close between the drivers in front. So Dan Chen, well, can he have a look into turn 1? Not at the moment. We have a couple of drivers together here. Rob Lewis, Luca Babetto, Team ASD behind them. And Rob Lewis cannot turn in as Luca Babetto is there. And in front of Babetto is Panda. And then Rob Lewis under pressure from Luca Babetto going into turn 3 or 2. Sorry, that was turn 3. All fighting here for 18th place. All these drivers have lost many places, so surely they'll be wanting to make them up. And we see a couple of very good starts from Marcus Brislov, Sarayan as well, Pedro Melim and Buemi. And Abreu, of course, went off in the previous lap here on the tail of Team ASD. Both very quick drivers and then trying to slow it down, as well as that avoiding Luca Babetto in front. On the back straight, 5 cars very close to each other. These 3 drivers are, well, they're having a bit of damage, but they are fighting for 20th place. And they're locking up, he's losing control, and will they hit? Oh, actually they will. No avoiding there. So Dolfo comes away reasonably well, but Babetto and, well, Ed takes advantage of that, and Team ASD then both off. Mark Martens then on the overtake on Marco Buemi on the main, excuse me, main straight. And it is Buemi who's tucking in behind Mark Martens. Mark Martens now on the hunt for Rens de Kok in 14th place, who has also lost many places, both him and Mark Martens did. Out in front at the moment, Rune Janssens, excuse me, and Petrol behind him. Sammo in 3rd place, Oscar Pink with the pink mirrors in 4th place. 5th place is Man with Garbage, very nice from him. Red Burning Eyes, 6th place, also a very good start. Of course, he started in, I think it was 13th place. Marcus Bislov behind him. And a little bit further down we have Dennis Marquardt then on the tail of Dan Chen. And Dennis Marquardt seems to have the better lines coming out of the turn 10. And now you have to be very close behind and take the better line into the hairpin, or more out of the hairpin, and does so, and takes the slipstream of the driver in front, which is Dan Chen. Side by side, coming over the crest into turn 14. You're wondering where's turn 13, and they touch, and it is Marquardt then who goes around again, I think. Has to rejoin the track safely, so well, bad race for him at the moment. To watch with Petrol. Rune fastest lap at the moment in the the first driver in the 47th in the race, that is. Mark Martens then thinking, well, I can do that as well, and does so in 14th place. Cortex on the tail of Marcus Brislov. And Brislov taking a tighter line and another tighter line. And using a little bit more track than there is. But of course it's very difficult to attack in this section. The best you can do is keep very close to the driver in front, and then hope you can get a very good braking into the hairpin and a very good exit as well, as driver there in front of Brislov goes off Who is that? That is Red Burning Eyes. Really nice Kunos Cat, and they touch again. We see a lot of contact this race. Of course, it's a very tricky track, but a lot of contact. And here we have drivers fighting on the straight. It is Rens de Kok behind Chris Down, getting into a slipstream. Still though, 3/10 behind him. Can he make up that time with hardly any slipstream? And is in fact losing a little bit of time on my screen anyway. They come very close to each other, bumper to bumper. And Pedro Malim into the tires. Again a driver going off. And being passed now by Rens and Chris Down. Rens trying one side, trying the other side. Chris Down trying to defend, but there is enough space for Rens to come side by side or door by door. Going into turn 1, and at the moment it is Rens de Kok taking the place, but can Chris Down cut back? It's Rens de Kok who surely has the better line for going into turn 3. So nice overtake by him. And we see some gaps between all the drivers, although here further down we have Saldukas and Luca Babetto. Luca Babetto of course lost a lot of places earlier, as well did Team ASD, who is... Whoa, who was that? That was Ada going off. And Star and Team ASD then... Oh, we have another driver spinning! Who's that? That's Sadokas. Well, that's one way of making it exciting, but we want to see fights and we want to see these drivers being in control of their cars as Star goes off and tries to keep the place from Ada. And Ada now very close. Did they touch? I think they did. We see another driver off in the distance. Star with the wider line into the hairpin, and Ada trying to get on that throttle and trying to get into the slipstream, but at the moment cannot do so. Abro in 24th place down all the way, and I think it was Heather we saw in the background as another driver. Well, a lot of power oversteer from Team ASD in 27th place. Team ASD, who was starting somewhere out in front. I think it was 2nd or 3rd place, so there you are. And on the main straight, Dan Chen and Marcus Brislov. Dan Chen taking the place, and Rens then also having a look. And Rens maybe in a better position for turn 3. I think he is, so that's Dan Chen losing another place. And Brislov a bit of oversteer. And Van Dent staying behind Serene. And we slowly see the gaps increasing between the drivers. 17 and a bit minutes to go. I'm expecting about 17 laps in total, as Rens de Kok is now on the tail of Max Brislov going out of the hairpin. But is he close enough? Seems to be pretty far away. Flashing his lights. I'm coming through, he says. But, well, not at the moment, I think Brislov is thinking. Going over the crest. As we watch on board with Rens. Trying to drive the tighter lines, trying to have the good exits. At the moment still very far away from the bumper of Brislov. And Marquardt then, he's a bit closer to Buemi. Can he make a move? Slowly gaining some speed. Trying the outside as Buemi is defending. Braking very late. And making the corner, I think. But Buemi, yeah. He has passed him, the driver. of Dennis Marquardt, of course recovering after going off, and then Brislov under pressure from Rens de Kok. Pedro Melim, also a fast driver who went off at least once. He's now on the tail of Buemi as well, but here are the two drivers of Marcus Brislov and Rens de Kok. As I'm confusing my accents once again. You have to brake, but you don't have to. You shouldn't brake too late, as you don't want to hit the driver in front, but still get close enough on the back straight in order to make a move into turn 14. As well, turn 13 is a little chicane here, a little bit further down the road, and still 3/10 behind him. Still closer than the previous lap, so he is getting closer and having a look. But Brislov sticking to his line and says, well, you can have a look, but I won't let you pass that easily. As Petrol does a new fastest lap, gaining by over half a second on Rune Janssens out in front still. As we are approaching halfway into this race. And these drivers still the battle to watch on the track, as it seems at the moment. Brislov locking up. Well, Melim and Buemi, of course I mentioned them earlier, but Melim now on the tail of Buemi and having a look. And Buemi noticed that and decided to leave some space, which of course made him Melim stick to the gap, and both him and Martins then go through, and Martins goes very wide. Tries to keep the speed and is on the bumper of Melim on the inside going into turn 7. Very tricky part to do so, and Melim decides to take the corner and take the track. Very close squabble between the two drivers. And Melim there looking to be quicker out of the hairpin, and in front of them, a little bit further down the road, Red Bull Eyes and Cortex very close to each other. Another fight here, Rob Lewis and Van de Dent. Rob Lewis on the inside, Van de Dent very careful on the braking, and Rob Lewis go through to 19th place and Luca Bebeto then also wanting to have a piece of that, down into 21st place. Of course lost many places, 15 places in fact, and still tries to make up. Very nice line into the last turn, has a very good run on Van de Dent, but has to keep in the throttle, and both drivers are struggling to keep the car straight. And it is Luca Bebeto with the slight advantage on Van de Dent, and against the place there. Aika Raju on the tail of Panda in front of them. To watch on board. Cortex and Red Burning Eyes still fighting for the place, for 5th place. And Cortex then deciding to tuck in behind him and maybe take a better line and wait on the main straight, but it looks like Red Burning Eyes has a very good run. And we see someone dropping. What's going on there? Van de Dent, is that? Yeah, oh wow, that was a hefty crash for him. I saw him dropping down the order, but I don't know what happened. We don't have a replay of that, of course. One of the things that might be missing in Assetto Corsa. Let's not talk about it too much. Edda there here with Star, and Star going wide as he was struggling with braking, and then Edda with the better run on the straight, of course, and takes 16th place. Team ASD going off as well, nearly touches Bro there. Terrain goes through and takes 23rd place. And sorry, that was not Bro, it was Rob Lewis, also in a red Porsche. After 10 laps, it is Rune Janssens, the Dutch driver in first place. Won the previous race as well, so well, doing very well with 50 kilograms of ballast. Petrol in second place, around 2.5 seconds behind Rune. Samuel driving a good race from him. Of course, not having the ballast as the drivers around him, but still, it's nice to see a driver doing well, especially on a difficult track like this. And Oscar Pink behind him, the two teammates, I think. At least they both have the same skin. Red Burning Eyes in 5th place, not so much under pressure anymore from Cortex at the moment. We have Man with Garbage in 7th place. We haven't seen much of him in this race, but driving solidly. Marcus Bislov drove a bit of a gap to Rens de Kok. Rens de Kok in 9th place. And we have Dan Chan. We're behind him, Chris Down in 10th and 11th place. Dennis Marquardt, quick driver, and well, I think he can, well, I was just going to say, I think he can make up some places, but this way, of course, you're not going to, and immediately he's under pressure then from Mark Martins, is he? Well, I think he could get away with that unscathed. Not too much going on, and Team ASD then having a look on Sarayan. And, well, another thing happened. Don't know which thing, but Eder and Luca Babetto got through on Eder. And Chris Down and Dan Chen having a fight over 10th place. Onto the main straight. Locking up is Dan Chen, and Chris Down being able to come very close, taking a bit of a wider line, maybe can set up for turn 3. No, not at the moment. Very tricky braking again, isn't it? And well, he seems to notice and doesn't like the braking so much. Cutting the corner a little bit. Of course, well, if you do that 1, maybe 2 times, it's not too bad, but don't keep repeating that too often. As we have Team ASD then having a look on Sarayan. Sarayan defending into turn 1. And later on the break is Team ASD as both drivers locking up. Team ASD then trying to switch around. And Sarayan keeping the space. No. He's closing the door on him. Into turn 3 and then 4. And Rob Lewis watching that going on. Seeing that going on and well, he'll surely want to pass here for 21st place. So all through the field things are going on, although the drivers out in front is pretty stable at the moment. The top 3, 4, 5 drivers. Cortex still on the hunt for Red Burning Eyes, but not able to come close enough to make a move. Team ASD then right on the tail of Sarayan into the hairpin. Who can brake the latest and who can get out of the hairpin the earliest? Good exit from Team ASD right on the tail of Sarayan, having a look. Get tucks back into the slipstream. On the inside for the braking zone. Team ASD leaving... Sarayan leaving enough space and Team ASD then having enough speed. Well, no. Decides to take it easy and maybe set up a move for later on in this section. So tries to use a bit of a different line through these turns. You can do that, but well, it's pretty hard with this last turn. We want to use as much of the track and pretty much you only have one line with this camber. And still the drivers very close together into turn 1. It's a pretty long lap, about 1 minute 47, 48 for most drivers. And Sarayan then struggling to get on the power, and Team ASD having a look. Sarayan making his car wide, Team ASD trying the better line. Into this flowing, fast section to the back of the track. And then Sarayan sticking to his line, but well, as I said earlier, it's very hard to make a move here. But you have to be able to set up the car in some way coming out of the hairpin. Pedro Melim then out of the hairpin and with a better exit, taking a fight with Star on the inside for the braking zone, and then on the outside for the next turn it is Pedro Melim who brakes the latest. And seems to take the place, seems to take another place from a driver who went off, and that is Ada. And two drivers side by side here, Team ASD and Rob Lewis then. Is that correct? Well, looks like it is. Team ASD lost a little bit of time to Sarayan. For a moment I thought I missed the move, but in fact he lost some time. And then on the pressure from Rob Lewis. Rens de Kok and Mark Martens for 11th place. Wasn't the Rens de Kok fighting for 8th place with Marcus Bislov? I think he was. So he lost out. A bit further up the field, Dan Chen and Chris Down. Chris Down not close enough. Let's look up a better. Having a look on Aika Raju. These drivers are now very close. But you see them, the gap usually increasing a little bit in this section. And of course that makes it very hard to manage to pass on the back straight, or after the back straight, going into turn 14. And then losing a bit of time here. Let's look up a better on Aika Raju. Oscar Pink with the improvement on his... Oh, and there's a change for the lead. As Rune lost some time, about 2 seconds or a little more. Something happened into turn 1, and Petrol then taking the lead, and Rune wants to fight back and looking very feisty and very aggressive. But can he have the better line, and can he put Petrol under pressure? Both drivers already won a race, so both drivers know how it is to win a race in this Porsche 911 Summer Super Cup. And both will want to take the victory with about 3 more laps to go. Rune looking very aggressive, though Petrol a little bit more in control perhaps. A bit more stable. Braking late. Using the outside curb. That's a very nice line from Rune. But is he close enough? Seems to be gaining a little bit of speed, but not nearly enough, I think. Flashing his lights, as we saw the other NASA racing driver do earlier. Is he making a move? He is! They touch! That was a bit optimistic, but Rune then decides to back off and let Petrol have the place. Surely both drivers will have a little bit of damage. And but it really shows how eager Rune is. And then look up a Beto on Aika Raju going into the hairpin. Closing the door is Aika Raju. Izzy was taking it very carefully. And now it's 3 drivers side by side on the back straight. Who will take this place? At the moment it is Aika Raju out in front. And look up a Beto then with Dan Chen. And look up a Beto is the one losing out at the moment, it seems. And there you go. It is in fact Dan Chen who takes the place. Even though it goes a bit wide, but very well managed by him. It was very bumpy, and look a bit better than struggling to keep his car in control. Meanwhile, out in front, well, Rune is in fact losing some time. Well, he was earlier in the lap, but now getting a bit closer to the hairpin. And then we see Petrol with the brake bias very far to the rear, and notices so in the braking. And again, the driver is very close on the back straight. And Petrol tries to break the slipstream from Rune. Team ASD then, with the fastest lap, all the way down in 24th place. As all the drivers now in front are fighting. We'll keep watching these two drivers. Anything might happen. And still within a half second, a bit of oversteer for Rune. Petrol driving away from him. And we have Supercup and ACRL still fighting. It is Malim now in front. So we'll keep a little eye on what's happening out in front, of course. I don't want to miss any change of leads just yet. But Petrol at the moment seems to be in control of this fight. And, well, he doesn't have as much ballast. Let's have a look at what he has. 35 kilograms for him. And 50 for Rune. Although Oscar might have 40. Both drivers going very wide there. But not close enough for Rune. And this is the last lap, so the last moment where Rune can try to make a move and have a very good exit. A bit of oversteer for Petrol. And surely does give Rune the better run on the back straight. So in the last lap, these two drivers are fighting for the lead. And it is Rune then who tries to take the better line into going into the braking zone of turn 14. Going over the crest side by side. Between Petrol and Rune, and Petrol then very, very aggressive on the braking, very late as well, and Rune tries to cut him, cut to the inside, and again trying a bit of a different line, here in the last lap of the Virginia International Raceway, and will Petrol have the better line as Rune goes 2 wheels on the grass, right into the slipstream goes Rune, but I think it's Petrol. It is Petrol then finishes the race in first place, and Rune has to give the place to him, so that's well done by the two drivers. Very nice fight. And we have Red Building Ice crossing the line and some other fights here. Two drivers going side by side of Luca Babetto and ACRL, of course, were fighting already earlier. And Luca Babetto very late in the break. And now three drivers very close to each other, which is Dan Chen out in front of Luca Babetto. Flashing his lights, but there's nothing more he can do, as Dan Chen finishes in 13th place. And Luca Babetto tucks in behind him in 14th. Pedro Malim, 16th place. And we have Buemi behind Star. But it's Star who finishes in 19th place, Sarayan in 21st, 22nd for Rob Lewis. Panda a bit further down, with the stripy skin, finishes in 23rd place, and Sadukas, 24th place, and the last one to cross the line in 25th place is Hedo. As Team ASD is DNF behind his name, so something happened with him, and Hedo then crosses the line. So let's have a look at the final race results, or not. Let's see if we can do that again. Doesn't seem to be working at the moment, sorry for that. Have a look if we can fix it some way. Meanwhile, let's take a look at this little trailer, and hopefully after that I can show you the And then here are the race results. No, that's not correct. Unfortunately. So, well, in front finished a Petrol. I don't know why it's not showing up right at the moment, but let's see if we can fix a little interview with him. You're watching the Porsche 911 Summer Super Cup, organized by ACRL. This is the Porsche 911 Summer Super Cup, organized by ACRL, and with me I have Petrol, race winner of race 1. Petrol, can you hear me? You sound a little bit soft, but I'll turn down the volume of the racing cars in the background. Congratulations, Petrol, with your race win.
Thanks.
So that looked very exciting in the last couple of laps. But let's start with qualifying. Can you tell us about what happened in qualifying?
Oh, it was rubbish. I bottled it, basically. Could have had pole, had the pace to do it. Didn't do it. Luckily got a half decent lap in at the end. But in a way that helped because I stayed out of the mayhem that happened in turn 3. So I'll take it.
Yeah, nice. So you started in what place?
5th.
5th place. That's not bad at all. Yeah, there was a lot of mayhem into well, the first lap, in fact, between the whole field. But you went through it, and then you got into 2nd place, I think. And for most of the race, you were behind Rune. And then what happened that got you in front of him?
I was about 3 seconds behind him, and then at turn 1 he missed his braking point, was in the grass, so I just about was close enough to get in front, and then managed to hold him off just until the end, and then luckily got the win. But there was a moment where he was much later on the brakes than me, and we touched. Luckily we held it together, so I knew he was going to do it again on the last lap, so I just kept as late as I could, and I got pretty sideways, but luckily I held it, and there's my win.
Yeah. Well, it looked like a very tough fight indeed, but still reasonably fair. At least it looked like Rune gave you the moment to get back on the throttle before he did, after he touched you.
He did. Yep.
So,
Yep.
Well, it was very nice to see from our side. Yeah, and I want to talk a moment about this track, because it's a very difficult track, and we've seen a lot of drivers going off, but how is this track for you? Do you like it?
I was actually struggling practicing before. It was just, well, I hopped into the pre-qualify, and I'd suddenly just put myself in P4 overall. And then it was at that moment I got a grip with it. It was really weird. I was struggling with the hairpin on the back straight. I still was in the race, actually. I had a couple of sideways moments still. But apart from that, I was pretty good. I was quite surprised, actually.
Well, nice. At least it came together at the right moment. right? Well, better now than later. Or
I can relax now. I don't need to do anything. That's it. Cruise around.
Well, yeah. Of course, you don't know where you'll be starting yet for the second race.
I'm 17th.
17th.
So
oh, is it already? Is it already back on?
We've got 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Okay. Well, I should reconnect and get some time to prepare for that. And so should you, I guess. Thank you for this little interview and good luck in the second race. And we'll take care.
Thank you.
So that was Petrol, race winner of the first race, the round 4 at Virginia International Raceway. If we have, well, by the time we're joining, we'll have about 3 minutes left before the race starts. Race 2 with a reversed grid. So 17 drivers are being reversed. And 3.5 minutes left before the race starts. Out in front we have Ada. And let's see if we can get the grid for this moment. And there we are. Here's the starting grid then. Ada out in front. Pedro Melli behind him. Ika Raju in 3rd place. Luca Babetto behind him in 4th. Mark Martens in 5th place. Dennis Marquardt in 6th. Chris Down in 7th. And Marcus Brieslov in 8th place. Red Burning Eyes in 9th place. Samuel behind him. Oscar Pink then. Rune Janssens and Petrol. That is 13th place for Petrol, in fact. Oh, wait a second. I know what's going on here. Some drivers have still yet to connect. So this is not the final grid result. There's still some room for improvement in this stream. But it's roughly the order. And some drivers will be joining in a second. Although that will have time to run through the order again then. But we'll see. In any case, here's another list. 2 minutes before the lights go out. And let's see if it will be just as messy in the first lap as it was on the first race. So another half an hour race. About 17 laps. You're watching, of course, the ACRL Summer Supercup. ACRL, of course, organizes many different races and leagues. Now the Porsche Summer Super Cup, but usually during the year they have a couple of GT3 championships, even Open Wheel and GTE. This is what they had. If you want to sign up, head to reddit.com/r/ACRL. You can sign up and you can be part of these races. But for now, about 20 seconds before the lights go out here at the Virginia International Raceway, with the Porsche Summer Super Cup. Ada out in front in 1st place. With a reversed grid. And the race of half an hour. As the lights are going on. Excuse me. And we have a jump start. I can't see who that was as I'm heading back to the front. But it was a white car and possibly Luca Babetto or the other, his teammate. And still some cars struggling into turn 1. And we have a lot more contact there between many drivers. And well, a lot of drivers are getting away, but some drivers haven't had it too well. And we have a tech there from Brislov on Chris Down, that is. Is that correct? Chris Down now in front. Behind him Samuel. And Cortex also fighting and out in front. Well, Adder immediately making a bit of a gap. It tells you that Buemi is in front, but he is in fact in the pits, and this will be corrected. So in second place is then Pedro Milim. And Mark Martins on the tail of Aika Raju. As Aika Raju struggles to get on the throttle, has a bit of oversteer. And then can Martins get a slipstream here on the back straight? And in fact he can. He's a bit quicker. And takes place. Very nice move from him. And a lot of fights then going on here, and we have Petrol struggling to keep the car in control now in 17th place. And look a bit better on the tail of Pedro Milim, braking much later and hits the leader. Hits Adder, and that is dreadful for him. Adder out in front. Hasn't had a very good race in the previous race, but then is hit out completely besides his fault by Luca Babetto. So that's a shame for him. Rens de Kok on Aika Raju, who's also having a difficult lap, and Aika Raju again losing some time. And then Rens de Kok takes the place. Adder has been able to recover to 12th place now. Find it a bit of a shame for him. Sounds very loud for me. And then Petrol on the back of Star. A place where you can't really pass just yet. So if he just has the patience, then maybe he can make a move onto the back straight. As we see another car going round. That is Aika Raju. Poor guys. Well, aggressive fighting. He tries to get around it. No, he can't. He just has to wait and find a bit of an empty gap, empty space to rejoin. And Petrol then still on the back of Star, but not close enough to make a move. Has a bit of a look on one side, has a bit of a look on the other side. Well, though Star is aiming to disappoint, well, Petrol is not. And Petrol takes a very, very exciting place there, but Star, yeah, loses a place, and it is Cortex then who wins another place. Adder then making up another place, now in 10th place. And Sorayan right behind Star this time, and who was that going off? It was Luca Babetto. And for the lead, no, for second place in fact, Brislov. A bit too fast into turn one. Again, one driver. Well, previously it was Luca Babetto, of course, but then Marcus Brislov losing the place from to Samuel. Abreu and Adder. Adder already in 8th place, making some good progress, making up some places. And Star then under pressure from Sorayan and Petrol being a bit twitchy. Losing some time. It's Luca Babetto, in fact. Was confused for a moment. And Luca Babetto now under pressure, but there's also Petrol and Cortex side by side. Getting some air. And who's that? Did anyone go off? I heard some sound. I'm not sure. A lot of fights going on. And here we have Adder on Rob Lewis, right on his tail. Of course, you're not taking the inside line for turn 14, or 14A, but you are for the braking zone, so even though you're on the outside, you can now brake someone on the inside and he locks up. Can he keep control? No, he can't. Is being overtaken by 3 drivers, and maybe a 4th driver of Petrol. Petrol again struggling, we saw that earlier. Getting onto the power, and is now on the tail of Adder. I have to say, I feel for the guy. He had a nice margin, but then, well, got hit into turn 1. Samuel and Chris down. Can they do anything? No, not at the moment. Again, we see a driver struggling to get on the power. A little bit of oversteer and then a little bit more oversteer. And on we go for Rob Lewis. And Dabro behind him in another red car. Braking very late, locking up. For 4th and 5th place, Margaret Brieslov and Samuel. Samuel going off. Brieslov taking a bit easier and then locking up is Samuel. But gains, keeps the speed and the momentum onto the back straight. And then Cortex right on the tail of Rob Lewis. Again Rob Lewis under pressure. Although he does seem to have to be better run on the back straight at the moment. Oversteer for Cortex. And Petrol behind him. Is he now under pressure? Well, we can hardly see him because of the rear wing. And Chris down now with the fastest lap. Again, we see drivers locking up left and right. Trying to take a very tight line and goes wide. Loses some time and is immediately on the pressure from Petrol. Petrol then on the outside for turn 7, but has the better speed. And can he get the place then? Yes, he can. Very nice move. Very opportunistic, but very nice. Of course, you have to be like that, especially on a difficult track like this. And we have Samuel then very close to Chris down on the back straight. Chris down going wide on the exit. But I don't think the drivers are close enough for a fight. But then Cortex wanting to take the place back from the 007 car of Petrol. Slowing it down all the way. Of course, you're coming over the crest, so it's very hard to... the car... Oh, as Petrol goes wide and goes off. Goes off very fast and tries to keep the speed, but at the same time come back to the track and loses quite a bit of places between the drivers. And Rune Janssen is the last driver to pass him, who is also trying to take the fight to Sarayan into turn 1. Braking late, Sarayan seeing it, keeping wide. Though Sarayan totally had the right to defend that and shut the door, though he tries to do that for turn 3 and does so. That is very nice indeed. Very fair driving from the two drivers. And Rune then with a bit of a moment of oversteer. And well, Luca Babetto, Rens de Kok, Team ASD and Van Dident have all given up on this race, which is a shame, of course. We have 21 drivers left in this race. And I'm reading now that perhaps that move we saw with as Sarayan goes off and Rune takes 12th place. Luca Babetto braking so late could have been a bit of a move between him and Team ASD, although I have to confirm that later on. So I don't want to blame him just yet. Out in front, well, pretty solid. With a 5-second lead is Pedro Melim. Behind him, Mark Martens. In the 288 car. Chris Downden. Samuel. Max Brislov and Melim again drives the fastest lap. Red Building Ice in the light blue car. Rob Lewis there in the pits. Rob Lewis in the pits. Really? No, that's not correct. That was not Rob Lewis. He's in fact attacking for 6th place? 5th place? What's going on here? I'm a bit confused, but Edda takes his place and Rob Lewis is down into 10th place as he went off. And we see Star and Rune Janssens fighting there and Petrol behind them. And Star then looking up, going wide and going off the track. Very slippery, of course, with the slick tires on the grass. And then oversteer. He must have really hot tires. He tries to defend still, tries to hold on to the place from Aika Raju. Will he be able to do something about it? As we see again some oversteer and going wide. A Star. Locking up, going wide into the hairpin, tries to make it up, tries to keep the speed going. And Oscar Pink close behind Sarayan. As Pedro Melim had another fastest lap, so well, he's surely driving away. Under brake is very difficult, and they touch. As it was, I think, Hedo who was braking late, and Sarayan reacting to it. And then Oscar Pink reacting to that. And the drivers touched. And then Sarayan going a bit wide on the last turn, and Oscar Pink on the inside, side by side. On the main straight. Oscar Pink on the inside, braking very late, and there is the other car of Hedo. But it looks like Oscar Pink will have the place, and Hedo goes a bit wide. Tries to defend. Seems to be successful with that. And then Oscar Pink has to tuck in behind him, and immediately Sarayan under pressure from Panda. We have more drivers fighting here in front. 1 lap or half a lap, there's not much going on, and suddenly all these drivers are close together, and Adder then makes a bit of a mistake in a hairpin, and side by side are Rodolfo Abreu and Adder and Rob Lewis behind them. Another driver goes off in the background, which I think is Petrol, but not losing a place, but Adder also almost losing a place to Abreu, but on the defensive line and seems to be in the advantage on Rodolfo Abreu. Very neat for Abreu. The 3 drivers get through it very well, but having a look in the last turn. The trouble is, when you sandwich like that, if you can make a move, but if you make a mistake, well, you'll leave a gap, and the driver behind will get your place. Locking up is Adder. Adder, and I mentioned, made these beautiful standings, overlays. Just something to mention. Fun fact there. As the bro goes off. Brakes late, immediately on the defensive from Rob Lewis. And I think Rob Lewis will have a very good exit here. Though Rune Janssen saw that and tries to get into the mix as well. Into a slipstream. But the drivers are still quite far apart. Unless of course one of them brakes too late, you see some locking up again. Pretty hard to see with these cameras at the moment. But nothing too spectacular between these 4 drivers yet. Although Abro now under pressure from Rob Lewis and goes defensive on the inside. But doesn't keep it on the inside. Was in fact just taking the racing line, and then is then Rob Lewis on the inside takes the place, and then because he left the gap open, we have Rune Janssens trying to make use of that. The drivers had contact for a moment, and well, evading action for Abreu, excuse me, and then is under pressure from Petrol. Petrol again wide. We saw that earlier. No, it was a different driver. I'm correcting myself there. And Red Burning Eyes and Cortex. Didn't we see them fight earlier in the previous race? Well, here they are again. And the Cortex, slowing down, but both drivers going off. And well, the way this is going, these drivers might have just put road tires on, as it will be just as quick. And not as quick on the tarmac, but a lot quicker on the grass. As we see a lot of off-roading today. This is a difficult track. Of course, drivers reacting to each other when someone makes a move. Locking up into turn 14. And Samuel and Chris down. Not close enough at the moment, but still, he is reasonably close. Meanwhile though, Melin still out in front. The gap is 12 seconds, so ever improving. The gap you're seeing on your screen is not entirely correct. It's also not Marcus Brieslov, but in fact Mark Martens, who is in second place. And behind him is Chris Down, we have Samuel, and then in 5th place is Brieslov. Red Burning Eyes on the pressure from Cortex. But driving defensively and so far successfully, though Cortex is quite close at the moment. We have another driver into the pits. I think another DNF or a couple of Dan Chan. I'm not sure what happened. And we have 2 more drivers side by side between Eder and Rune Janssens in this spectacular part of the track, and both drivers hanging in there side by side between them. And Eder trying to take the better line, but is unsuccessful in doing so. And we have Brieslov then and Samuel fighting here on the back straight. For a moment nothing happens, and then all of a sudden everything happens at the same time, of course, and then locking up. What happened there was Samuel. I think he just locked up on him on his own merit, but maybe he was having to evade the driver in front, and we have on the back straight Marquardt, and is that ACRL? It is, and Marquardt braking late. He can't brake for that. He can't make the turn. Nope. And goes off. ACRL goes through, rejoins the track, and behind him goes Panda, but he can keep the place from him. Then into turn 1, Cortex and Red Burning Eyes. Cortex coming from very far into turn 1, but keeps it under control. And Red Burning Eyes was smart enough to see that and sharp enough to notice it. And could avoid contact, but then it's Samuel, it is Cortex who goes through into 6th place. And here we have Adder and Rune Janssen still fighting for 11th place. Adder now with the better line. Considering the pace of the previous race, I think it is Rune who, well, his tires must have gone off a little bit. As Adder is able to stick very close to Rune. Both drivers locking up again. These cars no ABS, no traction control. Very hard to control with all the weight in the back. These Porsches. And for 18th place between Sarayan and Star. Oh, bit of oversteer and loses control. Luckily there's plenty of runoff, or is there? Well, yes there is. And is able to rejoin the track safely. With 8 minutes left, Pedro Amelim still out in front. 13 seconds now between him and Mark Martins. Chris down, still under pressure from Brislov, though Brislov is not getting close enough to make a move just yet. Samuel behind them, and Cortex just overtook Red Burning Eyes, of course, with a very nice move, as Petrol drives the fastest lap of the race. Track is now pretty much in ideal condition, though the tires of these cars are definitely not, especially the rear tires, I think. Of course I'm not driving it, so I'm not entirely sure, but that's what it looks like from here, and considering the characteristics of these cars, it might just be the case. Adder now losing a little bit of time from Rune Janssens. It's so difficult switching these arse. And Brislov then very close to Chris Down. On the back straight, Chris Down going wide as well as Brislov. But not close enough, perhaps. To watch on board with Markus Brislov. Am I a professional presenter? No, I'm not, but thank you for the compliment. About 3 or 4 laps to go in this race. The 8th race of the season, and so far it's definitely looking like Pedro Amelim has it in the back. And maybe these 13 seconds weren't correct. I'm sorry, yeah. As here I see 4 seconds between them, and well, looking from the onboard it certainly looks like that. So Markus Brislov is still trying to hunt down Chris Down. Going into the hairpin. Uphill. Over the crest. Difficult braking, going into the turn. Turning while braking also very hard, of course. And, well, no ABS as I said earlier. If you get it right, you can do a very quick lap and you can gain some time on the driver in front, like this. As the corners are a lot of combinations, and we have Markus Brislov then with the better run on the main straight into the slipstream, and it is Chris Down who's defending. Markus Brislov being pushed to the outside, or forced to the outside, heading into turn 1. As they are braking, who can brake the latest? I think it is pretty much equal between the two drivers on the braking. And Breeslov on the outside and now under pressure as well from Samuel, who's having a look. And Breeslov now defending from Samuel. Samuel goes wide. Samuel goes off. Oh, that's terrible for him. He was doing so well. And can he recover from that? He's losing a lot of places left and right and puts it into reverse. That's pretty dangerous to do. Let's see what we have coming up. And well, Rune certainly has the time to see that and passes Samuel for 9th place. Petrol, race winner in race 1, started in 17th place, I think. Perhaps 16th looking at the timing, but is now into 5th place. We have Rodolfo Abreu and Edda. Edda, after losing a lot of places after being hit into turn 1, is making up some ground, so that is very nice to see. But a bit of, well, a bit unlucky for him, of course. Abreu then braking. Try to use all the track, try to get a better exit, but it's very hard to do. This camera angle is a bit unlucky, as you can see a lot of smoke when the drivers are locking up, which they pretty much always do, but you can't actually see the car in front. Oh, and Abreu then has a bit of a moment as he goes over the bump and loses some time, but keeps it under control luckily. Good driving from him, but loses some time on Edda. With about 2 more laps to go and coming onto a back marker, here is Pedro Amelim in the red car. Using all the track he can. Let's have a bit of a look on board with the race leader as he laps, who I think is Salduka, who makes an error. And sorry, that's Mark Martens, who's in 19th place. Very tidy, very neat. And now there is, I think, 11 seconds between him and Chris Down. So, well, either the timing is confused or I am and something happened. But it looks like he's very consistent. Now in the 48s, as his tires are, of course, wearing with 1 more lap to go. We have 1 more run down field with Chris Down in 2nd place, and pretty close to behind him is Marcus Breeslov. Cortex into 4th place. Petrol, great drive from him into 5th place, starting in 17th, and Rob Lewis also doing very well, starting even further down. Red Birding Eyes in 7th place, Rune Janssens in 8th. Samuel, who lost some time after going off in the previous lap, unfortunate for him, now in 9th place. Edda then in 10th place, starting out on pole this second race. Rodolfo Abreu lagging, it looks like. Something's happening. And well, that's the end of his race. Shame for him. Aika Raju now in 11th place. Oscar Pink. Dennis Marquardt 13th. Rodolfo Abreu, yeah, again, he's something is happening. I'm not sure what. Let's see. So Panda in 14th place, Hedo in 15th place, and we have Sarayan in 16th, Star then, and Mark Martens a bit further down. But we have maybe an interesting fight for the while we're on the final lap for 2nd place between Chris Down and Marcus Breeslov. Though he's pretty far away, so I think it looks like Chris Down was driven a very solid race, as most of these drivers who are now into the top 10. unless of course Chris Down makes a mistake. And he probably won't, with one more corner left to go, as Melim then goes over the start-finish line and wins the race. The second race here at the Virginia International Raceway, the 8th race of the season. Chris Down finishes into 2nd place. Good job by him. Also good job by Marcus Brieslov. Cortex then very close behind them. And Petrol in 5th place. And Rob Lewis about to finish. A bit further down. In 6th place. Red Burning Eyes in 7th. Rune Janssens in 8th. Samuel in 9th place. Edda, unfortunate. After being hit. Started out on pole and now in 10th place. 11th place for Aika Raju. Oscar Pink. And Dennis Marquardt. Dennis Marquardt is either having a friendly tap or is angry, but I think it was the first of the two options. So there we are. Well, let's see if I can show you a quick race result before everyone is left. There we are. 50 points for Pedro Melim. Chris Down in 2nd place. And Marcus Brieslov in 3rd. Well, I won't mention everyone, but there you go. It was a pretty exciting race, or both races were pretty exciting. As I'm trying to maybe get a little interview with the race winner, Pedro Melim. We'll see what we can do. Meanwhile, I want to thank you for watching this 4th round of the ACRL Porsche 911 Summer Super Cup. It's quite a mouthful, but there you are. So thank you for watching. And I'll start a little trailer about this Porsche 911 Summer Super Cup, and hopefully after that we'll have a bit of an interview. I'll let you know. So you are watching the Porsche 911 Summer Super Cup, and with us we have the race winner of the 2nd race at the Virginia International Raceway. It is Pedro Melim. Pedro, can you hear me?
Yes.
So congratulations with your race win. Am I correct in saying that this is your first race win for this season?
Yes, it is.
Well, congratulations with that. Well, let's start with the beginning. I think the first race didn't go too well, did it? Can you walk us through it?
Yeah, first race, well, started with qualifying. I had a bit of pace in practice, but messed up in qualifying and ended up in 17th, I think. Race start was good. I was 10th after the first lap, I think, or so. But then a mistake in the last corner cost me a lot of places. And after that, I tried to catch up, but kept doing mistakes. Had an incident, a big one, I think. So the first race wasn't the best one, but the second one was really good. The win is always a nice feeling.
Yeah, I imagine it is. Yeah, it looked like you were very quick going by the practice sessions and the pre-qualifying. So I was a bit surprised indeed that you had difficulty setting a qualifying lap, but it certainly put you in a great position for the second race. And you started, was it in second place? Is that right?
Yeah, it was second.
And then, well, when you got first place, I think after Eder was taken out by Luca Babetto, if I'm correct, you took the lead, and well, you were pretty much gone after that.
Yeah, I saw he was attacking. He went into the first corner. I knew he had slipstream, so I tried to give enough room for the inside to see if he was going to dive bomb and do a mistake probably. He ended up taking out the guy that wasn't first, and well, was my chance to get the win. Mark was after that very quick. He was at one point like 3.7 seconds of me, but in the end I think he got a disconnection or something. It was unfortunate, but still it was a bit boring race, but it was a good race and nice points for me and the team.
Yeah. Well, you say it's a boring race, but on this track, it's a pretty tricky track. I can't imagine it. I can't not imagine it being very boring.
Well, I actually like this track. It's very difficult to nail it, but that first section is really really good when you hit that perfect line. But yeah, it's tricky. I made a mistake even. I think it was in corner 3 or something. But it was enough. I could hold the lead, and
yeah,
it was good.
All right. Well, thank you for this little interview, and well, again, congratulations with your race win. I'll now finish up the stream, and wish you a good night.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. So that was Pedro Melim, the race winner of the second race here at Virginia International Raceway. And, well, good race by him. For you, the viewer, well, thank you very much for watching. I think we had quite good numbers. So again, which is very nice to see. And, well, for what I'm used to anyway. I'm not sure what happened to Martins. Someone's asking in the chat, but yeah, maybe if you watch back the stream, or maybe, well, the replay will be shared at the Reddit, so you can go there. Also, if you want to take part in the races of ACRL, go to the Reddit. That is reddit.com/r/ACRL. And well, you can sign up. Anyone can sign up. There are usually, yeah, plenty of spots. I think up to 3 servers, and well, depending on where you qualify in the pre-qualifying, you'll end up in a server with equal drivers. So that's very nice. You know, it's always very nice, nicely organized. So yeah, next week is the 5th round, and I have to scroll through the excuse me, through the posts. I think it's Donington National, that's right, is the next race. So, well, hopefully we can have another stream then, and hopefully you'll join us. For now, thank you again for watching, and have a good evening. This is the ACRL Porsche 911 Summer Super Cup. Good evening and bye-bye.